Rebel spaceships striking from a hidden base have won their first victory against the evil Galactic Empire. During the battle, Rebel spies managed to steal secret plans to the Empire's ultimate weapon, the Death Star, an armored space station with enough power to destroy an entire planet. Pursued by the Empire's sinister agents, Princess Leia races home aboard her starship, custodian of the stolen plans that can save her people and restore freedom. Interior, Rebel blockade runner, main passageway. Did you hear that? They've shut down the main reactor. We'll be destroyed for sure. This is madness. Rebel troops rush past the droids and they take up their positions in the main passageway. They aim their weapons toward the door. We're doomed. The little R2 unit makes a series of electronic sounds that only another droid could understand. There'll be no escape for the princess this time. I'm reading them like Stewie. There'll be no escape for the princess this time. R2 continues making beeping sounds. Tension mounts as loud metallic latches clank and the screams of heavy equipment are heard moving around the outside hull of the ship. What's that? Asked 3PO. The Imperial craft has easily overtaken the blockade runner. The smaller Rebel ship is being drawn into the underside dock of the giant Imperial ship. Inside the Rebel blockade runner, the nervous Rebel troopers aim their weapons. Suddenly, a tremendous blast opens up a door in the main passageway, and a score of fearsome armored space-suited stormtroopers make their way into the smoke-filled corridor. In a few minutes, the entire passageway is ablaze with fire. The deadly bots ricochet in wild random patterns, creating huge explosions. Stormtroopers scatter and duck behind storage lockers. Laser bolts hit several Rebel soldiers who scream and stagger through the smoke, holding shattered arms and faces. An explosion hits near the droids. 3PO. I should have known better than to trust the logic of a half-sized thermocompulsory dehousing assister. Wow, if I had trouble with that, this is gonna be a ride. Wow, wait, this is different than the movie a little bit. Okay. R2 counters with an angry rebuttal as the battle rages around the two hapless robots. Exterior, Tatooine, desert wasteland, day. A death-white wasteland stretches from horizon to horizon. The tremendous heat of the two twin suns settles on a lone figure, Luke Skywalker, a farm boy with heroic aspirations who looks much younger than his 18 years. Pretty sure Luke is 19. Anyway, his shaggy hair and baggy tunic give him the air of a simple but lovable lad with a prize-winning smile that can go to Tashi Station to pick up power converters. Light wind whips at him as he adjusts several valves on a large battered moisture evaporator, which sticks out of the desert floor, much like an old pipe valve. He is aided by a beat-up tread robot with 6 claw arms. The little robot appears to be barely functioning and moves with jerky motions. A bright sparkle in the morning sky catches Luke's eye, and he instinctively grabs a pair of electro binoculars from his utility belt. He stands transfixed for a few moments, studying the heavens, then dashes toward his dented, crudely repaired land speeder, an auto-like transport that travels 2 feet above ground on a magnetic field. He motions for the tiny robot to follow him. Hurry up, come with me, what are you waiting for? Get in gear! The robot, I've been saying droid, but it says robot in the script. The robot scoots around in a light circle, stops short, and smoke begins to pour out of every joint. Luke throws his arms up in disgust. Exasperated, the young farm boy jumps into his land speeder, leaving the smoldering robot to hum madly. Back to the Rebel blockade runner in the main hallway. The awesome, 7-foot-tall Dark Lord of the Sith makes his way into the blinding light of the main passageway. This is Darth Vader, right hand of the Emperor. His face is obscured by his flowing black robe and grotesque breath mask, which stands out next to the fascist white armored suits of Imperial stormtroopers. Everyone instinctively backs away from the imposing warrior, and a deathly quiet sweeps through the Rebel troops. Several of the Rebel troops break and run in a frenzied panic. Inside the Rebel blockade runner, a woman puts a card into R2's dome. R2 makes beeping sounds. Again, in the Rebel blockade runner, 3PO stands in the hallway, somewhat bewildered. R2 is nowhere in sight. The pitiful screams of the doomed Rebel soldiers can be heard in the distance. R2-D2, where are you? A familiar clanking sound attracts 3PO's attention as he spots little R2 at the end of the hallway in a smoke-filled alcove. A beautiful young girl, about 16 years old. See, this is not true because she's Luke's twin. Anyway, I'm correcting my own script. They also didn't realize Luke and Leia were going to be twins till probably the last 5 minutes of Empire Strikes Back. Surreal and out of place, dreamlike and half hidden in smoke, she finishes adjusting something on R2's computer face, then watches as the little robot joins his companion. At last! Where have you been? Stormtroopers can be heard battling in the distance. They're heading in this direction. What are we going to do? We'll be sent to the spice mines of Kessel or smashed into who knows what. R2 scoots past his bronze friend and races down the sub-hallway. 3PO chases after him. Wait a minute. Where are you going? R2 responds with an electronic beep. What a surprise. Inside the rebel blockade runner, the evil Darth Vader stands amid the broken and twisted bodies of his foes. He grabs a wounded rebel officer by the neck as an Imperial officer rushes up to the Dark Lord. The Death Star plans are not in the main computer. Vader squeezes at the neck of the rebel, who struggles in vain. Where are those transmissions you intercepted? Vader lifts the rebel off his feet by his throat. We intercepted no transmission. This is a consular ship. We're on a diplomatic mission. If this is a consular ship, where is the ambassador? The rebel refuses to speak, but eventually cries out as the Dark Lord begins to squeeze the rebel officer's throat, creating a gruesome snapping and choking until the soldier goes limp. Vader tosses the dead soldier against the wall and turns to his troops. Commander, tear the ship apart until you found those plans, and bring me the ambassador. I want her alive. Stormtroopers scurry into the hallways. Inside the rebel blockade runner in a sub-hallway, the lovely young girl hurries into a small alcove as the stormtroopers search through the ship. She is Princess Leia Organa, member of the Alderaan Senate. The fear in her eyes slowly gives way to anger as the muted crushing sounds of the approaching stormtroopers grow louder. One of the troopers spot her. There she is, set for stun. Leia steps from her hiding place and blasts the trooper with a laser pistol. She starts to run but is felled by a paralyzing ray. The troopers inspect her body. She'll be all right. Inform Lord Vader we have a prisoner. Inside the rebel blockade runner, R2 stops before the small hatch of an emergency life pod. He snaps the seal onto the main latch and a red warning light begins to flash. The stubby astro robot works his way into the cramped four-man pod. Hey, you're not permitted in there, said 3PO. It's restricted. You'll be deactivated for sure. R2 beeps something at him. Probably fuck you. Don't call me probably a mindless philosopher. Don't you call me a mindless philosopher, you overweight glop of grease. Now come along before somebody sees you. R2 whistles something at his reluctant friend regarding the mission that he's about to perform. Secret mission? What plans? What are you talking about? I'm not getting into that. R2 isn't happy with 3PO's stubbornness and he beeps pretty angrily. A new explosion, this time very close, sends dust and debris through the narrow sub-hallway. Flames lick at C-3PO, and after a flurry of electronic swearing from R2, the lanky robot jumps into the life pod. I'm going to regret this. In the rebel blockade runner, the safety door snaps shut, and with the thunder of exploding latches, the tiny life pod ejects from the disabled ship. Inside an Imperial Star Destroyer, on the main view screen, the life pod carrying the two terrified droids speeds away from the stricken rebel spacecraft. There goes another one. Hold your fire. There are no life forms. Must have short-circuited. Inside the life pod, R2 and 3PO look at the receding Imperial starship. Stars circle as the pod rotates through the galaxy. That's funny. The damage doesn't look as bad from up here. R2 beeps in an assuring response. Are you sure this thing is safe? Exterior, day, Anchorhead Settlement, power station. Heat waves radiate from the dozen or so bleached white buildings. Luke pilots his land speeder through the dusty, empty street of the tiny settlement. An old woman runs out of the way of the speeding vehicle, shaking her fist as Luke flies past. I've told you kids to slow down! Ooh, that's probably the old woman who was in the Phantom Menace. Storm's coming up, Annie. Better get home quick. Probably not, though. I think Biggs is in this. Because in the deleted scene, it was Biggs telling Luke about the Empire, and he was wearing a cape and some shit. I don't know. Okay. Luke bursts into the power station, walking the Fixer, a rugged mechanic, and Cammy, Fixer. Did I hear a young noise blast through here? Cammy. It was just Wormy on another rampage. Luke bounces into a small room behind the office where Deke and Windy, two tough boys about the same age as Luke, are playing a computer pool-like game with Biggs, burly, handsome boy with a few years older than the rest of them. A flashy city attire is a sharp contrast to the loose-fitting tunics of the farm boys. Robot repairs some equipment in the background. Shape it up, you guys! Biggs? Luke's surprise at the appearance of Biggs gives great joy and emotion. They give each other a great bear hug. I didn't know you were back. When did you get in? Just now. I wanted to surprise you, Hotshot. I thought you'd be here. Certainly didn't expect you to be working. But you're back so soon. Hey, what happened? Didn't you get your commission? Biggs has an air of cool that seems slightly phony. Of course I got it. Signed aboard the Rand Epileptic. That can't be right. Last week. First mate Biggs Darklighter at your service. He salutes. I just came back to say my goodbye to all you unfortunate landlocked simpletons. Everyone laughs. The dazzling spectacle of his dashing friend is almost too much for Luke. But suddenly he snaps out of it. I almost forgot. There's a battle going on. Right here in our system. Come and look. Not again. Forget it. The group stumbles out into the stifling desert sun. Cammy and the Fixer complain and are forced to shade their heads. Luke has his electron binoculars, and they're scanning out in the heavens. There they are! Biggs takes his electro binoculars from Luke as the others strain to see something with the naked eye. Through the electro binoculars, Biggs sees two small silver objects. That's no battle, Hotshot. They're just sitting there. Probably a freighter tank refueling or something. But there was a lot of firing earlier. Cammy grabs the electro binoculars away, banging them against the building in the process. Luke grabs them. Hey, easy with those! I keep telling you, the rebellion is a long way from here. I doubt if the Empire would even fight to keep this system. Believe me, Luke, this planet is a big hunk of nothing. Luke agrees, although it's obvious he isn't sure why. The group stumbles back into the power station, grumbling about Luke's ineptitude. Inside the rebel blockade runner, Princess Leia is led down a low-ceilinged hallway by a squad of armored stormtroopers. Her hands are bound, and she is brutally shoved when she is unable to keep up with the briskly marching troopers. They stop in a smoky hallway as Darth Vader emerges from the shadows. The sinister Dark Lord stares hard at the frail senator, but she doesn't move. Darth Vader, I should have known. Only you could be so bold. The Imperial Senate will not sit still for this. When they hear you've attacked a diplomatic... Don't play games with me, Your Highness. You weren't on any mercy missions this time. You passed directly through a restricted system. Several transmissions were beamed aboard this ship by rebel spies. I want to know what happened to the plans they sent you. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a member of the Imperial Senate on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan. You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take it away. Leia's marched down the hallway and into the smoldering hole blasted into the side of the ship. An Imperial commander turns to Vader. Holding her is dangerous. What if word gets out? It could generate sympathy for the rebellion in the Senate. I've traced the rebel spies back to her. Now she is my only link to finding their secret base. She'll die before she'll tell you anything. Leave that to me. Send a distress signal, and then inform the Senate that all aboard were killed. And another Imperial officer approaches Vader and the commander. They stop and snap to attention. Lord Vader, the battle station plans are not aboard this ship, and no transmissions were made. An escape pod was jettisoned before the fighting, but no life forms were aboard. Vader turns to the commander. She must have hidden the plans in the escape pod. Send a detachment down there to retrieve them and see to it personally, Commander. There'll be no one to stop us this time. Yes, sir. In space, the Imperial Star Destroyer comes across the surface of the planet Tatooine. Two helpless astro robots kick up clouds of sand as they leave the life pod and clumsily work their way across the desert wasteland. The life pod in the distance rests half buried in the sand. How did we get into this mess? I really don't know. We seem to be made to suffer. It's our lot in life. R2 answers with beeping sounds. I've got to rest before I fall apart. My joints are almost frozen. R2 continues responding with beeping sounds. What a desolate place this is. Suddenly, R2 whistles, makes a sharp right turn, and then stares off in the direction of the rocky desert. 3PO stops and yells at him. Where are you going? A stream of electronic noises pours forth from the small robot. Well, I'm not going that way. It's much too rocky. This way is much easier. R2 counters with a long whistle. What makes you think there are settlements over there? R2 continues to make beeping sounds. Don't get technical with me. R2 continues to make beeping sounds. What mission? What are you talking about? I've had just about enough of you. Go that way. You'll be malfunctioning within a day, you nearsighted scrap pile. He gives the little robot a kick and starts on in the direction of the vast Dune Sea. And don't let me catch you following me begging for help because you won't get it. R2's replies a rather rude sound. No more adventures. I'm not going that way. R2 beeps to himself as he makes his way toward the distant mountains. In the Dune Sea, C-3PO, hot and tired, struggles up over a ridge of the dune, only to find a few more dunes, which seem to go on for endless miles. He looks back in the direction of the now distant rock. That malfunctioning little twerp, this was all his fault. He tricked me into going this way, but he'll do no better. In a huff of anger and frustration, 3PO knocks the sand from his joints. His plight seems hopeless, when a giant reflected light in the distance reveals an object moving toward him. Wait, what's that? A transport! I'm saved! Over here! Please, help! Exterior Tatooine. Anchorhead Settlement, Power Station. Luke and Biggs are walking and talking and drinking malt brew. Luke. So I cut off my power, shut down the afterburners, and came in low on Deke's trail. I was so close I thought I was going to fry my instruments. As it was, I busted up the Skyhopper pretty bad. Uncle Owen was pretty upset. He grounded me for the rest of the season. You should have been there. It was fantastic. You ought to take it a little easy, Luke. You may be the hottest bush pilot on this side of Mos Eisley, but those little Skyhoppers are dangerous. Keep it up, and one day, whammo, you're going to be nothing than a dark spot on the downside of a canyon wall. Yeah, look who's talking. Now that you're around those giant starships, you're beginning to sound like my uncle. You've gone soft in the city. I've missed you, kid. Well, things haven't been the same since you left, Biggs. It's been so quiet. Biggs looks around and leans close to Luke. Luke, I didn't come back just to say goodbye. I shouldn't tell you this, but you're the only one I can trust. And if I don't come back, I want somebody to know. Luke's eyes are wide with Biggs' seriousness and loyalty. What are you talking about? I made some friends at the academy. When our frigate goes to one of the central systems, we're going to jump ship and join the Alliance. Luke is amazed, stunned, almost speechless. Join the rebellion? Are you kidding? How? Quiet down, will you? I'm sorry, I'm quiet. Listen how quiet I am. You could barely hear me. Big shakes his head and angrily continues. My friend has a friend on Bastine who might help us make contact. You're crazy. You could wander around forever trying to find them. I know it's a long shot, but if I don't find them, I'll do what I can on my own. It's what we always talked about, Luke. I'm not going to wait for the Empire to draft me into service. The rebellion is spreading, and I want to be on the right side, the side I believe in. Yeah, and I'm stuck here. Thought you were going to go to the academy next term. You'll get your chance to get off this rock. Not likely. I had to cancel my application. There's been a lot of unrest among the Sand People since you left. They even raided the outskirts of Anchorhead. Your uncle could hold off a whole colony of Sand People with one blaster. I know, but he's got enough evaporators to make the place pay off. He just needs me for one more season. I can't leave him now. I feel for you, Luke. You're going to have to learn what seems to be important or what really is important. What good is all your uncle's work if it's all taken over by the Empire? You know they're starting to nationalize commerce in the central systems, and it won't be long before your uncle is merely a tenant slaving for the greater glory of the Empire. It couldn't happen here. You said it yourself. The Empire won't bother with this rock. Things always change. Wish I was going. Are you going to be around long? No, I'm leaving in the morning. I guess I won't see you. Maybe someday, Luke. I'll keep a lookout. Well, I'll be at the academy next season. After that, who knows? I won't be drafted into the Imperial Starfleet, that's for sure. Take care of yourself, Biggs. You'll always be the best friend I've got. So long, Luke. Biggs turns away from his old friend and heads towards the power station. In Tatooine and the Rock Canyon, it's a sunset. The gargantuan rock formations are shrouded in a strange, foreboding mist, and the ominous sounds of the unearthly creatures fill the air. R2 moves cautiously through the creepy rock canyon, inadvertently making a loud clicking noise as he does it. He hears a distant, hard, metallic sound and stops for a moment. Convinced he's alone, he continues on his way. In the distance, a pebble tumbles down the steep canyon, and a small dark figure darts into the shadows. A little further up the canyon, a slight flicker of lights reveals a pair of eyes in the dark recesses only a few feet from the narrow path. The unsuspecting robot waddles along the rugged trail until suddenly, out of nowhere, a powerful mechanic ray shoots out of the rocks and engulfs him into an eerie glow. He manages one short electronic squeak before he topples over onto his back. In the movie, it was his front. His bright computer lights flicker on and off, then off again. Out of the rocks scurry 3 Jawas, no taller than R2. They holster strange and complex weapons, cautiously approach the robot. They wear grubby cloaks and their faces are shrouded, so only that their glowing yellow eyes can be seen. They hiss and make odd gluttural sounds as they heave the heavy robot onto their shoulders and carry him down the trail. The 8 Jawas carry R2 out of the canyon to a huge tank-like vehicle the size of a 4-story house. They wield a small disc on the side of R2 and then put him under a large tube on the side of the vehicle, and the little robot is sucked into the giant machine. The filthy little Jawas scurry up like rats up ladders and enter the main cabin of the behemoth transport. In the hold area, R2 switches on a small floodlight on its forehead and stumbles around the scrap heap. The narrow beam swings across rusty metal rocket parts and an array of grotesquely twisted and maned astro robots. He lets out a pathetic electronic whimper and stumbles off towards what appears to be a door at the end of the crawler. R2 enters a wide room with a 4-foot ceiling. In the middle of the scrap heap sits a dozen or so robots, various shapes and sizes. Some are engaged in electronic conversation, while others simply mill about. A voice of recognition calls out, R2-D2, it is you! A battered 3PO scrambles up and R2 embraces him. The enormous sandcrawler lumbers off toward magnificent twin suns, which are slowly settling over a distant mountain ridge. In Tatooine, different part of the desert during the day, 4 Imperial stormtroopers mill about in front of the half-buried life pod that brought R2 and 3PO to Tatooine. A trooper yells to an officer some distance away. "Someone was in the pod. The tracks go off in this direction." "Look, sir, droids!" As another second trooper picks up a small bit of metal by the sand and gives it to the first trooper. Meanwhile, in the dunes of Tatooine, the sandcrawler moves slowly down a great sand dune. 3PO and R2 noisily bounce along inside the cramped prison chamber. R2 appears to be shut off. "Wake up! Wake up!" Suddenly, the shaking, bouncing sandcrawler stops, creating quite the commotion among the mechanical men. 3PO's fist bangs at the head of R2, whose computer lights pop on as he begins beeping. At the far end of the long chamber, a hatch opens, filling the chamber with blinding white light. A dozen or so Jawas make their way through the odd assortment of robots. "We're doomed." A Jawa starts moving toward them. "Do you think they'll melt us down?" R2 responds, making beeping sounds. "Don't shoot! Don't shoot!" "Will this ever end?" The Jawas scurry around, fussing over the robots, straightening them up and brushing some dust off the side of the dead metallic elbows of others. The shrouded little creatures smell horribly, attracting small insects to the dark areas where their mouths and nostrils should be. Out of the shadows of a dingy side building limps Owen Lars, a large burly man in his mid-50s. His reddish eyes are sunken in a dust-covered face. As the farmer carefully inspects each of the robots, he is closely followed by his slump-shouldered nephew, Luke Skywalker. One of the vile little Jawas walks ahead of the farmer, spouting an animated sales pitch in a queer, unintelligible language. A voice calls out from one of the huge holes from behind the homestead. Luke goes over to the edge and sees his Aunt Beru standing in the main courtyard. "Luke! Tell Uncle Owen that if he gets a translator, be sure it speaks Bocce. Doesn't look like we have much of a choice, but I'll remind him." Luke returns to his uncle. "I have no need for a protocol droid." "Sir, not in an environment such as this. That is why I've also been programmed for over 30 secondary functions that what I really need is a droid that understands the binary language of moisture evaporators. Sir, my first job was programming binary load lifters. Very similar to your evaporators, you could say. Do you speak Bocce? Of course I can, sir. It's like a second language to me. I'm fluent in Bocce. All right, shut up. I'll take this one. Shut up, sir. Take these two over to the garage, will you? Why don't you have them both cleaned up before dinner? But I was going to go to Tashi Station and pick up some power converters. You can waste time with your friends when your chores are done. Now get to it. All right, come on. And the red one, come on. Well, come on, Red, let's go. As the Jawas start to lead the 3 remaining robots back into the sandcrawler, R2 lets out a pathetic little beep and starts after his old friend 3PO. He's restrained by a slimy Jawa who zaps him with a control box. Owen is now negotiating with the head Jawa. Luke and the 2 robots start for the garage when the plate pops off the head of a red astro droid, throwing parts all over the ground. He adjusts the astro droid's head plate and it sparks wildly. "Uncle Owen!" "Yeah?" "This R2 unit has a bad motivator. Look!" "Hey, what are you trying to pull on us?" The Jawa goes into a loud spiel. Meanwhile, R2 has sneaked out of line and is moving up and down to try and attract attention. He lets out a low whistle. 3PO taps Luke on the shoulder. "That R2 unit is in real prime condition, a real bargain." "Uncle Owen?" "Yeah?" "What about that one?" "Hey, what about that blue one? We'll take that one." With a little reluctance, the scruffy dwarf trades the damaged Astro robot for R2. "Yeah, take this away." I'm sure you'll be really quite pleased with this one, sir. He really is in first-class condition. I've worked with him before." Owen pays the whining Jawa, and the 2 robots trudge off towards a grisly homestead entry. "Okay, let's go." "Now, don't you forget this. Why I should stick my neck out for you is beyond my capacity." Inside the Lars homestead, we're in the garage area. It's about late afternoon. The garage is cluttered, worn, but a friendly, peaceful atmosphere that permeates the low, gray chamber. 3PO lowers himself into a large tub filled with warm oil. Near the battered land speeder, little R2 rests on a large battery with a cord attached to his face. "Thank the maker! This oil bath is going to feel so good. I've got such a bad case of dust contamination I could barely move." R2 beeps a muffled reply. Luke seems to be lost in thought as he runs his hand over the damaged fin of the small 2-man skyhopper spaceship resting in a low hangar off the garage. Finally, Luke's frustrations get to the better of him, and he slams a wrench across the workbench. "Oh, it just isn't fair. Biggs is right. I'm never going to get out of here. Is there anything that I might do to help?" Luke glances at the robot. "Well, not unless you can alter time, speed up the harvest, or teleport me off this rock." "I don't think so, sir. I'm only a droid, and not very knowledgeable about such things. Not on this planet, anyway. As a matter of fact, not even sure what planet I'm on." Well, if there's a bright center of the universe, you're on the planet that it's farthest from. I see, sir. You can call me Luke. I see, sir, Luke. Not just Luke. And I am C-3PO, human-cyborg relations. And this is my counterpart, R2-D2. Hello. Got a lot of carbon scoring here. Looks like you boys have seen a lot of action. Well, with all what we've been through, sometimes I'm amazed we're in as good condition as we are. What, with the rebellion and all? You fought in a rebellion against the Empire? That's how we came to be in your service, sir, if you take my meaning. Have you been in many yet? Have you been in many battles? Several, I think. Actually, there's not much to tell. I'm not much more of an interpreter. I'm not good at telling stories. Well, not making them interesting anyway. Well, my little friend, you got something jammed in here real good. Were you on a Star Cruiser or a... The fragment breaks loose with a snap, sending Luke tumbling head over heels. He sits up and sees a 12-inch three-dimensional hologram of Leia Organa, the rebel senator, projected from the face of little R2. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. What's this? R2 looks around and beeps an answer for 3PO to translate. Leia continues to repeat the sentence fragment over and over again. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. What is what? He asked you a question. What is that? R2 whistles his surprise as he pretends to just notice the hologram. He looks around sheepishly and beeps an answer for 3PO to translate. Leia continues the sentence fragment over and over again. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Oh, he says it's nothing, sir. Merely a malfunction. Old data. Pay it no mind. Who is she? She's beautiful. I'm afraid I'm not quite sure, sir. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. I think she was a passenger on our last voyage. A person of some importance, I believe, sir. Our captain was attached to... Is there any more of this recording? Luke reaches for R2, but he lets out several frantic squeaks and a whistle. Behave yourself, R2. You're going to get us in trouble. It's all right. You can trust him. He's our new master. R2 whistles and beeps a long message to 3PO. He says he's the property of Obi-Wan Kenobi, a resident of these parts, and it's a private message for him. Quite frankly, sir, I don't know what he's talking about. Our last master was Captain Antilles, but with all we've been through, this little R2 unit has become a bit eccentric. Obi-Wan Kenobi. I wonder if he means old Ben Kenobi. I beg your pardon, sir, but do you know who he's talking about? Well, I don't know anyone named Obi-Wan, but old Ben lives out beyond the Dune Seas. Kind of a strange old hermit. I wonder who she is. Sounds like she's in trouble. I better play back the whole thing. R2 beeps something to 3PO. He says the restraining bolt has short-circuited the recording. He suggests that if you remove the bolt, he might be able to play back the entire recording. Luke looks longingly at the lovely little princess and hasn't really heard what 3PO's been saying. Oh, yeah, okay, well, I guess you're too small to run away on me if I take this off. Okay. Luke takes off the wedge bolt and pops the restraining bolt off R2's side. There you go. The princess immediately disappears. Hey, wait a minute. Where'd she go? Bring her back. Play the entire message. R2 beeps an innocent reply as 3PO sits up in embarrassment. What message? The one you've just been playing. The one that you're carrying inside of your rusty innards. A woman's voice calls out from the other room. Luke! Luke! Come to dinner. All right, I'll be right there, Emperor. I'm sorry, sir, but he appears to have picked up some sort of slight flutter. Luke tosses R2's restraining bolt on the workbench and hurries out of the room. Well, see if you can do anything with him. I'll be right back. 3PO to R2. Now just you reconsider playing that message for him. R2 beeps in response. No, I don't think he likes you at all. No, I don't like you either. Inside the Lars homestead, Luke sits with Uncle Owen before a table covered with steaming bowls of food as Aunt Beru carries in a bowl of red grain, probably blue milk. I think that R2 unit we bought might have been stolen. Makes you say that? Well, I stumbled across a recording while I was cleaning him. It says he belongs to someone called Obi-Wan Kenobi. Owen is greatly alarmed at the mention of this name, but he manages to control himself. Thought he might have met old Ben. Do you know what he's talking about? Well, wonder if he's related to Ben. Owen breaks loose with a fit of uncontrolled anger. That old man's just a crazy old wizard. Tomorrow I want you to take that R2 unit down to Anchorhead and have its memory wiped. That'll be the end of it. It belongs to us now. But what if this Obi-Wan comes looking for him? He won't. I don't think he exists anymore. He died about the same time as your father. He knew my father? I told you to forget it. Your only concern is to prepare the new droids for tomorrow. In the morning, I want them on the South Ridge working on those condensers. I think those new droids are going to work out fine. In fact, I was also thinking about our other agreement, about me staying out another season. And if these droids do work out, I want to transmit my application to the Academy next year. You mean the next semester before the harvest? Sure, there's plenty of enough droids. Harvest is when I need you the most. It's only one more season. This year, we'll make enough on the harvest, so I'll be able to hire some new hands, and you can go to the Academy next year. You must understand I need you here, Luke. But it's a whole nother year. Look, it's only one more season. Yeah, that's what you said when Biggs and Tank left. Where are you going? Looks like I'm going nowhere. Finished cleaning these droids. Resigned to his fate, Luke paddles out of the room. Owen mechanically finishes his dinner. Owen, he can't stay here forever. Most of his friends have gone. I'll make it up to him next year. I promise. Luke's just not a farmer, Owen. He has too much of his father in him. That's what I'm afraid of. Twin sun scene. I don't need to read all that. Luke enters the garage, and he sees the robots are nowhere in sight. He activates a box, which creates a low hum, and 3PO, letting out a short yell, pops up from behind the Skyhopper spaceship. What are you doing hiding there? 3PO stumbles forward, but R2 is nowhere in sight. It wasn't my fault, sir. Please don't deactivate me. I told him not to go, but his faulty malfunctioning kept babbling on about his mission. Oh, no. Luke races out of the garage, followed by 3PO. That R2 unit has always been a problem. These astro droids are getting quite out of hand. Even I can't understand their logic at times. How could I be so stupid? Blast it, he's nowhere in sight. Pardon me, sir, but wouldn't we go after him? It's too dangerous with all the sand people around. We'll have to wait till morning. Luke, shutting the power down. All right, I'll be there in just a few minutes. Boy, am I gonna get... that little R2 unit's gonna cause me a lot of trouble. Oh, he excels at that, sir. Luke! 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 The interior of the kitchen of the Lars homestead is a warm glow as Hambaru prepares the morning breakfast. Owen enters in a huff. Have you seen Luke this morning? He said he had some things to do before he started today, so he left early. Did he take those 2 new droids with him? I think so. Well, he better have those units in the South Range repaired by midday or there'll be hell to pay. In the desert wasteland of Tatooine, Luke's speeder is speeding across the rock and sand of the desert floor. Luke leans over the back of the speeder and adjusts something in the motor compartment. How's that? 3PO signals that it's fine, and Luke turns into the wind-whipped cockpit and pops the canopy shut. Old Ben Kenobi lives out here in this direction somewhere, but I don't see how our R2 unit could have come this far. We must have missed him. Uncle Owen isn't going to take this very well. Sir, would it help if I told him it was my fault? Sure. I mean, he needs you. He'd probably only deactivate you for a day or so. Deactivate? Well, on the other hand, if you hadn't removed his restraining bolt... Wait, there's something dead ahead on the scanner. Looks like our little droid. Hit the accelerator. The speeder is parked on the massive floor of a canyon. Luke, with his long laser rifle over his shoulders, stands before little R2. Hey, whoa, where do you think you're going? The little droid whistles a feeble reply as 3PO poses menacingly behind the little runaway. Master Luke is your rightful owner now. We'll have no more of this Obi-Wan Kenobi gibberish. And don't talk to me about your mission either. You're fortunate he doesn't blast you into a million pieces right here. No, it's okay. Well, come on. It's getting late. Hope we can get back before Uncle Owen really blows up. If you don't mind my saying so, sir, I think you should deactivate the little fugitive until you've gotten him back to your workshop. No, he's not going to try anything. Suddenly, the little robot jumps up to life with a mass of frantic whistles and screams. What's wrong with him now? Oh, my. Sir, he says there seems to be several creatures approaching from the southeast. Luke swings his rifle into position and looks back to the south. Sand people, or worse. Come on, let's have a look. Come on. In the rock canyon of the Tatooine Ridge, Luke carefully makes his way to the top of the ridge and scans the canyon with his electro binoculars. There are 2 banthas down there, but I don't see any... Wait a second. There's sand people, all right. I can see one of them now. Luke watches the distant Tusken Raider through his electro binoculars, but suddenly something moves in front of his field of view. Before Luke or 3PO can react, a large, gruesome Tusken Raider looms over them. 3PO is startled and backs away, right off the side of the cliff. He can be heard for several minutes as he clangs, bangs, and rattles down the side of the mountain. The towering creature brings down his curved, double-pointed gaffy the dreaded axe blade that has struck terror into the hearts of local settlers. But Luke manages to block the blow with his laser rifle, which is smashed to pieces. The terrified farm boy scrambles backward until he is forced to the edge of the deep crevice. The sinister raider stands over him with his weapon raised and lets out a horrible shrieking laugh. In the rock canyon, R2 forces himself into the shadows of a small alcove in the rocks as the vicious sand people walk past carrying inert Luke Skywalker, who was dropped in a heap before the speeder. Sand people ransack the speeder, throwing parts in all directions. Suddenly they stop. Then everything is quiet for a few moments. A great howling is heard through the canyon, which sends the sand people into fleeting terror. R2 moves even tighter into the shadows as the swishing sound that frightened the sand people grows even closer until a shabby old desert rat of a man appears and leans over Luke. His ancient leathery face, cracked and weathered by exotic climates, is set off by dark permeating eyes and a scraggly white beard. Ben Kenobi squints his eyes and scrutinizes the unconscious farm boy. R2 makes a slight sound and Ben turns and looks right at him. "Hello there. Come here, my little friend. Don't be afraid, he'll be all right." "What happened?" "Rest easy, son. You've had a busy day. You're fortunate to still be in one piece." "Ben? Ben Kenobi? Boy, am I glad to see you." "The Judlin wastes are not to be traveled lightly. Tell me, young Luke, what brings you out this far?" "This little droid. I think he's searching for his former master. I've never seen such devotion in a droid before. There seems to be no stopping him. He claims to be a property of old Obi-Wan Kenobi. Is he a relative of yours? Do you know who he's talking about?" "Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan. Now that's a name I've not heard in a long time. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan..." I can get it. "Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan. Now that's a name I've not heard in a long time. Long time. I think my uncle knew him. He said he was dead." "Oh, he's not dead. Not yet." "You know him?" "Well, of course I know him. He's me. I haven't gone by the name of Obi-Wan since old before you were born." "Oh, then the droid does belong to you." "Don't remember ever owning a droid." "Very interesting." He suddenly looks up over the hanging cliffs. "Think we'd better get indoors. The Sand People are easily startled, but they will soon be back, and in greater numbers." 3PO. Little R2 stands at the edge of a large sand pit and begins to chatter away in electronic whistles and beeps. Luke and Ben stand over a very dented and tangled 3PO, half buried in the sand, one of his arms broken off. "Where am I? I must have taken a bad step. Can you stand? We gotta get out of here before the sand people return." "I don't think I could make it, sir. You go on, Master Luke. There's no sense in risking yourself on my account. I'm done for." "No, you're not. What kind of talk is that?" "Quickly, son. They're on the move." Inside Kenobi's dwelling, the small Spartan hovel is cluttered with desert junk, but still manages to radiate an air of time-warm comfort and security. Luke is on the corner repairing 3PO's arm, as old Ben sits thinking. "No, my father didn't fight in the wars. He was a navigator on a spice freighter." "That's what your uncle told you. He didn't hold with your father's ideals, thought he should have stayed behind and not gotten involved." "You fought in the Clone Wars?"
"Yes. I was once a Jedi Knight the same as your father. I wish I'd known him. He was the best star pilot in the galaxy, and a cunning warrior. I understand you become quite a good pilot yourself. And he was a good friend." Which reminds me. Ben gets up and he goes to a chest where he rummages around. Luke finishes repairing 3PO and starts to fit the restraining bolt back on. 3PO looks at him nervously. Luke thinks about the bolt for a moment, then puts it on the table. Ben shuffles and presents Luke with a short handle with several electronic gadgets attached to it. "I have something here for you. Your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough, but your uncle wouldn't allow it. He feared you might follow old Obi-Wan on some damn fool idealistic crusade like your father did."
"If you'll not be needing me, sir, I'll close down for a while." "Sure, go ahead." Ben hands Luke the saber. "What is it?"
"Your father's lightsaber. This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight. Not as clumsy or random as a blaster. and elegant weapon for a more civilized age. For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic, before the Dark Times. Before the Dark Times. Before the Empire. Luke hasn't really been listening. How did my father die? A young Jedi named Darth Vader, who was a pupil of mine before he turned to evil, helped the Empire hunt down and destroy the Jedi Knights. He betrayed and murdered your father. Now the Jedi are all but extinct. Vader was seduced by the dark side of the Force. The Force? Well, the Force is what gives a Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things that surrounds us and penetrates us and binds the galaxy together. R2 makes beeping sounds. Now, my friend, let's see if we can't figure out who you are and where you come from. I saw part of a message I seem to have found it. It's hard for me to get through this without crying, because this is just... I love Carrie Fisher so much. General Kenobi, years ago you served my father in the Clone Wars. Now he begs you to help him in his struggle against the Empire. I regret that I am unable to present my father's request to you in person, but my ship has fallen under attack, and I'm afraid my mission to bring you to Alderaan has failed. I've placed information vital to the survival of the rebellion into the memory systems of this R2 unit. I keep trying to do the Carrie Fisher fucking British accent she did when she showed up on set and heard Peter Cushing's. I'm gonna try to do it normal. General Kenobi, years ago you served my father in the Clone Wars. Now he begs you to help him in his struggle against the Empire. I regret that I am unable to present my father's request to you in person, but my ship has fallen under attack, and I'm afraid my mission to bring you to Alderaan has failed. I've placed information vital to the survival of the rebellion into the memory systems of this R2 unit. My father will know how to retrieve it. You must see this droid safely delivered to him on Alderaan. This is our most desperate hour. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. There's a little static, and the transmission is cut short. Old Ben leans back and scratches his head. He silently puffs on a tarnished chrome water pipe. Luke has stars in his eyes. You must learn the ways of the Force, if you are to come with me to Alderaan. Alderaan? I'm not going to Alderaan. I gotta get home. I'm late. I'm in for it as it is. I need your help, Luke. She needs your help. I'm getting too old for this sort of thing. I can't get involved. I've got work to do. It's not that I like the Empire. I hate it. There's nothing I can do about it right now. Such a long way from here. That's your uncle talking. My uncle. How am I ever going to explain this? Learn about the Force, Luke. Look, I could take you as far as Anchorhead. You can get a transport to Mos Eisley or wherever it is you're going. You must do what you feel is right, of course. In space, an Imperial Star Destroyer heads toward the evil planet-like station, the Death Star. Inside the Death Star conference room, 8 Imperial senators and generals sit around a black conference table. Imperial stormtroopers stand guard around the room. Commander Tag, a young, shiny, slimy-looking general, is speaking. Until this battle station is fully operational, we are vulnerable. The Rebel Alliance is too well equipped. They're more dangerous than you realize. The bitter Admiral Mahdi twists nervously in his chair. Dangerous to your Starfleet commander, not to this battle station. The rebellion will continue to gain its support in the Imperial Senate as long as... Suddenly, all heads turn as Moff Tag's speech is cut short, and the Grand Moff Tarkin, governor of the Imperial Outland regions, enters. He's followed by his powerful ally, the Sith Lord Darth Vader. All the generals stand to bow before the thin, evil-looking governor as he takes his place behind the head of the table. The Dark Lord stands behind him. The Imperial Senate will no longer be of any concern to us. I've just received word that the Emperor has dissolved the Council permanently. The Imperial Senate will no longer be of any concern to us. I've just received word that the Emperor has dissolved the Council permanently. The last remnants of the Old Republic have been swept away. That's impossible. How will the Emperor maintain control without the bureaucracy? Regional governors not have direct control over their territories. Fear will keep the local systems in line. Fear of this battle station. And what of the rebellion? If the rebels have obtained a complete technical readout of this station, it is possible, however unlikely, that they may find a weakness and exploit it. The plans you refer to will soon be back in our hands. Any attack made by the rebels against this station would be a useless gesture, no matter what technical data they've obtained. This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it. Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed. The ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the power of the Force. Don't try and frighten us with your sorcerer's ways, Lord Vader. Your sad devotion to that ancient religion has not helped you conjure up the stolen data tapes, or given you clairvoyance enough to find the rebels' hidden fortune. Suddenly, Mahdi starts choking, turning blue under Vader's spell. I find your lack of faith disturbing. Enough of this! Vader, release him, as you wish. This bickering is pointless. Now Lord Vader will provide us with the location of the rebel fortress by the time the station is operational. We will then crush the rebellion with one swift stroke. Meanwhile, back on Tatooine, the speeder stops before what remains of a huge Jawa sandcrawler. Luke and Ben walk among the smoldering rubble and scattered bodies. It looks like sand people did this all right. I mean, look, there's gaffy sticks, bantha tracks. It's just, I never heard of them hitting anything this big before. They didn't, but we are meant to think they did. These tracks are side by side. Sand people always ride in single file to hide their numbers. These are the same Jawas that sold us R2 and 3PO. And these blast points, too accurate for sand people. Only Imperial stormtroopers are so precise. Why would Imperial troops want to slaughter Jawas? He looks back at the speeder where R2 and 3PO are inspecting the dead Jawas, putting two and two together. If they trace the robots here, they may have learned who they sold them to, and that would lead them back home. He reaches to a sudden horrible realization, then reaches for the speeder and jumps in. No, wait, Luke! Wait, Luke! It's too dangerous! Luke races off, leaving Ben and the robots alone with the burning sandcrawler. Luke races across the flat landscape in his battered land speeder. The speeder roars up to the homestead. Luke jumps out to the smoking holes that were once his home. Debris is scattered everywhere, and it looks as if a great battle has taken place. Luke stumbles. Uncle Owen? Emperor? Uncle Owen? Luke stumbles into a daze looking for his aunt and his uncle. Suddenly, he comes upon their smoldering remains. He's stunned, can't speak. Hate replaces fear, and a new resolve comes over him. Meanwhile, in space, Imperial TIE fighters race toward the Death Star. Inside the Death Star, specifically the detention corridor, two stormtroopers open an electronic cell door and allow several Imperial guards to enter. Princess Leia's face is filled with defiance, which slowly gives way to fear as a giant black torture robot enters, followed by Darth Vader. And now, Your Highness, we will discuss the location of your hidden rebel base. The torture robot gives off a beeping sound as it approaches Princess Leia and extends one of its mechanical arms, bearing a large hypodermic needle. The door slides shut, and the long cell block hallway appears peaceful. The muffled screams of the rebel princess are barely heard. On the wasteland of Tatooine, there is a large bonfire of Jawa bodies blazing in front of the sandcrawlers. Ben and the robots finish burying off the dead. Luke drives up the speeder, and Ben walks over to him. There's nothing you could have done, Luke. You would have been killed. There's nothing you could have done, Luke, had you been there. You would have been killed too. And the droids would now be in the hands of the Empire. I want to come with you to Alderaan. There's nothing for me here now. I want to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father. The land speeder, with Luke, R2, and Ben, zooms across the desert. A harsh gale blows across the stark canyon floor. Luke adjusts his goggles and walks to the edge of the craggy bluff where Ben is standing. Mos Eisley Spaceport. You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious. He looks over at Luke, who gives the old Jedi a determined smile. In Mos Eisley, the speeder is stopped on a crowded street by several combat-hardened stormtroopers who look over to the two robots. Trooper questions Luke. How long have you had these droids? About 3 or 4 seasons. They're up for sale if you want them. Let me see your identification. You don't need to see his identification. We don't need to see his identification. These aren't the droids you're looking for. They're not the droids we're looking for. He can go about his business. You can go about your business. Move along. Move along. Move along. Meanwhile, out in Mos Eisley, the speeder pulls up in front of a random blockhouse cantina on the outskirts of a spaceport. Various strange forms of transport, including several unusual beasts of burden, are parked outside of a bar. Jawa runs up and begins to fondle the speeder. "I can't abide these Jawas. Disgusting creatures," 3PO says. As Luke gets out of the speeder, he tries to shoo the Jawa away. "Go on, go, go, go. I can't understand how we got past those troops. I thought we were dead." "The Force can have a strong influence on the weak mind. You will find it a powerful ally." "Do you really think we're going to find a pilot here that'll take us to Alderaan?" "Well, most of the best freighter pilots can be found here. Only watch your step. This place can get a little rough." "I'm ready for anything." "Come along, R2. Now we're in the Mos Eisley Cantina, where the young adventurer and his two mechanical servants follow Ben Kenobi into the smoke-filled cantina. The murky, moldy den is filled with a startling array of weird and exotic alien creatures and monsters as long as the metallic bar. At first, the sight is horrifying. One-eyed, 1,000-eyed, slimy, furry, scaly, tentacled, and clawed creatures huddle over drinks. Ben moves to an empty spot of the bar, where near a group of repulsive but human scum. A huge, rough-looking bartender stops Luke and the robots. "We don't serve their kind here." "What?" "You're droids. They'll have to wait outside. We don't want them here." Luke looks to old Ben, who's busy talking to one of the galactic pirates. "Listen, why don't you just wait out by the speeder? We don't want any trouble." "I heartily agree with you, sir." 3PO and his stubby little partner go outside, and most of the creatures at the bar go back to their drinks. Ben is standing next to Chewbacca, an 8-foot-tall, savage-looking creature resembling a huge gray bush baby monkey with fierce baboon-like fangs. His large blue eyes dominate a fur-covered face, and his teeth and soften his otherwise awesome appearance. Over his matted furry body, he wears 2 chrome bandoliers and little else. He's 200 years old, and he's a Wookiee, a sight to behold. He is a 200-year-old Wookiee and a sight to behold. Ben speaks to the Wookiee, pointing to Luke several times during his conversation, and the huge creature suddenly lets out a horrifying laugh. Luke is a little more concerned and pretends not to hear the conversation between Ben and the giant Wookiee. Luke is terrified, but he tries not to show it. He sips his drink, looking over for the crowd for a more sympathetic ear, or whatever. A large multiple-eyed creature gives Luke a shove. The hideous freak is obviously drunk. Luke tries to ignore the creature and turns his back to his drink. A short, grubby human and even a smaller rodent-like beast join the belligerent monstrosity. "He doesn't like you." "Sorry." "I don't like you either." The big creature is getting agitated and yells some unintelligible gibberish, and now the rather young, nervous adventurer is scared. "Don't insult yourself. Don't insult us. You just watch yourself. We're wanted men. I have the death sentence on 12 systems." "I'll be careful." "You'll be dead. This little one's not worth the effort. Now let me buy you something." A powerful blow from the creature sends the would-be Jedi sailing across the room, crashing tables and breaking a large jug filled with foul-looking liquid. With a blood-curdling shriek, the monster draws a wicked chrome blaster pistol from his belt and aims it at old Ben. The bartender panics. "No blasters! No blasters!" With an astounding agility, Ben's laser sword sparks to life, and in a flash, an arm lies on the floor. The rodent is cut in two, and the giant multiple-eyed creature lies doubled, cut from chin to groin. Ben carefully and precisely turns his laser sword off and turns off his laser sword and replaces it on his utility belt. "This is Chewbacca. He's the first mate on a ship that might suit our needs." Meanwhile, in the streets of Mos Eisley, 3PO paces in front of the cantina as R2 carries out an electronic conversation with another little red astro droids. The creature comes out of the cantina and approaches 2 stormtroopers in the street. "I don't like the look of this. I don't like the look of this." Meanwhile, in the cantina, strange creatures play music and odd-looking instruments as strange creatures play exotic big band music known as jizz, and they're playing it on odd-looking instruments as Luke, still giddy, downs a fresh drink and follows Ben and Chewbacca to a booth where Han Solo was sitting. Han is a tough, ruggish star pilot, about 30 years old, a mercenary on a starship. He's a simple, sentimental, and cocksure. On Solo, I'm captain of the Millennium Falcon. Chewie here tells me you're looking for passage to the Alderaan system. Yes, indeed. If it's a fast ship. Fast ship? You've never heard of the Millennium Falcon? Fast ship. You've never heard of the Millennium Falcon? Should I have? It's the ship that made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. I've outrun Imperial starships. Not the local bulk cruisers, mind you. I'm talking the big Corellian ships. She's fast enough for you, old man. What's the cargo? Only passengers? Myself, the boy, 2 droids, and no questions asked. What is it, some kind of local trouble? Let's just say we'd like to avoid any Imperial entanglements. Well, that's the real trick, isn't it? And it's going to cost you something extra. 10,000, all in advance. 10,000? We could almost buy our own ship for that. Yeah, but who's going to fly it, kid? You? You bet I could. I'm not such a bad pilot myself. We don't have to sit here and listen. We can pay you too much. We haven't that much with us. We can pay you 2,000 now, plus 15 when we reach Alderaan. 17, huh? Han ponders this for a few moments. Okay, you guys got yourself a ship. Leave as soon as you're ready. Docking Bay 94. 94. Looks like somebody's beginning to take an interest in your handiwork. Ben and Luke turn around and see 4 Imperial stormtroopers looking at the dead bodies and asking the bartender some questions. The bartender points to the booth. All right, we'll check it out. The stormtrooper looks over at the booth, but Luke and Ben are gone. The bartender shrugs his shoulders in puzzlement. Han, now talking to Chewbacca. 17,000. Those guys must be really desperate. This could really save my neck. Get back to the ship and get ready. Get back to the ship and get her ready. You'll have to sell your speeder. That's okay. I'm never coming back to this planet again. As Han is about to leave the cantina, Greedo, a slimy-faced alien with a short trunk nose, pokes his gun in his side. Uka tuka solo? Greedo, yes, as a matter of fact, I was just going to see your boss. Tell Jabba I've got the money. I was going to try to do this in Huttese, but I really can't. It's too late. You should have paid him when you had the chance. Jabba put a price on your head so large that every bounty hunter will be looking for you. I'm lucky I found you first. Yeah, but this time I've got the money. Well, if you give it to me, I might forget I found you. I don't have it with me. Tell Jabba. Jabba's through with you. He has no time for smugglers who drop their shipments at the first sign of an Imperial cruiser. Even I get boarded sometimes. You think I had a choice? Han Solo slowly reaches for his gun under the table. You could tell that to Jabba. He may only take your ship. Over my dead body. That's the idea. I've been looking forward to killing you for a long time. Yes, I'll bet you have. McClunky. Suddenly, the slimy alien disappears in a blinding flash of light. Han pulls his smoking gun from beneath the table, and as the other patrons look in amusement, Han gets up and starts out of the cantina, flipping the bartender probably 50 cents for killing a guy. Sorry about the mess. In space, several TIE fighters approach the Death Star. Darth Vader. Her resistance to the mind probe is considerable. It will be some time before we can extract any information from her. An Imperial officer interrupts the meeting. The final checkout is completed. All systems are operational. What course shall we set? Perhaps she would respond to an alternative form of persuasion. What do you mean? I think it is time we demonstrated the full power of this station. Set your course for Princess Leia's home planet of Alderaan. With pleasure. Back on Tatooine, 4 heavily armed stormtroopers move menacingly along a narrow slum alleyway crowded with darkly clad creatures hawking exotic goods in dingy little stalls. Men, monsters, and robots crouch in a waste-filled doorway, whispering and hiding from the hot winds. Lock the door, R2. All right, check the next one. It's secure. Move on to the next one. The door opens. 3PO moves into the doorway. I would have much rather gone with Master Luke than stay here with you. I don't know what all this trouble is about, but I'm sure it must be your fault. R2 makes beeping sounds. Watch your language. Meanwhile, in Tatooine, Mos Eisley in the street, we're at the used speeder lot, where Ben and Luke are standing in a sleazy used speeder lot, talking with a tall, grotesque, insect-like used speeder dealer. Strange, exotic bodies, spindly-legged beast pass by, and insect concludes the sale by giving Luke some coins. He says it's the best he can do since the XP38s came out. They just aren't in demand. It will be enough. Ben and Luke leave the speeder and walk down a long, dusty hallway past a small robot herding a bunch of anteater-like creatures. Luke turns and gives one last forlorn look at his faithful speeder as he turns the corner. A darkly clad figure moves out of the shadows as they pass, and watches them as they disappear down another hallway. If the ship's as fast as it's boasting, we ought to do well. Meanwhile, in docking bay 94, Jabba the Hutt is standing in the middle of the docking bay. Jabba is the grossest of all the slaving hulks, and his scarred face is a grim testimony to his prowess of a vicious killer. He's a fat slug-like creature with eyes on extended feelers and a huge ugly mouth.
Come out here, Solo.
I've been waiting for you, Jabba.
I expected you, be.
Didn't think I'd run, did you?
Han, my boy, there are times when you disappoint me. Why haven't you paid me? And why did you have to fry poor Greedo like that, after all we've been through together?
You sent Greedo to blast me, Jabba.
Han, you're the best smuggler in the business. You're too valuable to fry. He was only relaying my concern at your delays. He wasn't going to blast you.
I think he was. Next time, don't send one of those twerps. If you got something to say to me, come say it yourself.
Han.
Maybe I should do this as the Godfather.
Han. If only you hadn't dumped that shipment of spice. You understand, I can't just make an exception. Where would I be if every pilot who smuggled from me dumped their shipment at the first sign of an Imperial starship? It's not good for business.
You know, even I get boarded sometimes, Jabba. You think I had a choice?
But I've got a nice charter, and I can pay it back. Plus a little extra. I just need more time.
Put your blasters away, man. Han is my boy. I'm only doing this because you're the best and I need you. So for an extra, say, 20%, I'll give you a little more time. But this is it, Han. If you disappoint me again, I'll put a price on your head so large you won't be able to go near a civilized system for the rest of your short life.
Jabba, you're a wonderful human being. I'll pay you because it's my pleasure. Meanwhile, in the Mos Eisley spaceport, Chewbacca leads the group into a giant dirt pit that is the docking bay 94. Resting in the middle of the huge hole is a large, round, beat-up, pieced-together hunk of junk that could be loosely called a starship. What a piece of junk! The tall figure Han Solo comes down from the boarding ramp. She'll make 0.5 beyond the speed of light. She may not look like much, but she's got it where it counts, kid. I've added a lot of special modifications myself. We're in a little bit of a rush, so if you don't worry, let's get aboard and we'll get out of here. The group rushes up the plank, passing a grinning Han Solo. Chewbacca settles into the pilot's chair and starts the engines of the starship. Luke, Ben, and 3PO all move toward the Millennium Falcon, passing Solo. Hello, sir. Meanwhile, in the Mos Eisley street, 8 Imperial stormtroopers rush up to the darkly clad creature.
Which way?
The darkly clad creature points to the direction of the docking bay.
All right, men, load your weapons.
The troops hold their guns and the troops hold their guns and charge down the docking bay entrance.
Stop that ship! Blast them!
Han draws his laser pistol and pops off a couple of shots, which force the stormtroopers to dive for safety. The pirate ship engines whine as Han hits the release button that slams the overhead. The pirate ship engines whine as Han hits the release button that slams the overhead entry shut. Inside the Millennium Falcon, Han screams, "Chewie, get us out of here!" The group straps in for takeoff. Oh my, I've forgotten how much I hate space travel. A half dozen stormtroopers at the checkpoint hear the general alarm and look to the sky as the huge starship rises above the dingy slum dwellings and quickly disappears into the morning sky. Han quickly moves into the pilot's chair next to Chewbacca, who chatters away as he points to something on the radar scope. Han frantically points Han frantically types information into the system's computer. Little R2 appears momentarily at the cockpit doorway, making a few beep remarks, then scurries away. Looks like an Imperial cruiser. Passengers must be hotter than I thought. Try and hold them off. Angle the deflector shield while I make the calculations for the jump to light speed. Looks like an Imperial cruiser. Our passengers must be hotter than I thought. Try and hold them off. Angle the deflector shield while I make the calculations for the jump to light speed. The Millennium Falcon races away from the yellow planet. It's followed by 2 Imperial Star Destroyers. Stay sharp, there's 2 more coming in. They're going to try to cut us off. Why did y'all run them? I thought you said this thing was fast. Watch your mouth, kid, or you're going to be finding yourself floating home. We'll be safe once we make it through the jump to hyperspace. Besides, I know a few maneuvers. We'll lose them. Imperial cruisers fire at the pirate ship. The Millennium Falcon shudders as an explosion flashes outside of the window. Here's where the fun begins. How long before you can make the jump to light speed? It'll take a few moments to get the coordinates from the nav computer. Are you kidding? At the rate they're gaining? Traveling through hyperspace ain't like dusting crops, boy. Without precise calculations, we could fly right through a star or bounce too close to a supernova, and that'd end your trip real quick, wouldn't it? What's that flashing? Go strap yourselves in. We're losing the deflector shield. I'm going to make the jump to light speed. The galaxy brightens and they move faster, almost as if crashing into a barrier. Stars become streaks as the pirate ship makes the jump to hyperspace. In space, we see the Death Star as Alderaan looms behind the Death Star battle station. Admiral Mahdi enters the control room of the Death Star and bows before Governor Tarkin, who stands before the wall screen displaying a small green planet. We've entered the Alderaan system. Vader and 2 stormtroopers enter with Leia. Her hands are bound. Governor Tarkin, should have expected to find you holding Vader's leash. Recognized your foul stench when I was brought on board. Charming to the last. You don't know how hard I found it signing the order to terminate your life. Surprised you had the courage to take the responsibility yourself. Princess Leia, before your execution, I would like you to be a guest at a ceremony that will make this battle station operational. No star system shall dare oppose the Emperor now. The more you tighten your grip, Tarkin, the more star systems will slip through your fingers. Not after we demonstrate the power of this station. In a way, you have determined the choice of the planet that'll be destroyed first. Since you are reluctant to provide us with the location of the rebel base, I have chosen to test this station's destructive power on your home planet of Alderaan. No, Alderaan is peaceful. We have no weapons. You can't possibly... You prefer another target, a military target? Then name the system. I grow tired of asking this, so it'll be the last time. Where is the rebel base? Tatooine. They're all on Tatooine. You see Lord Vader. She can't be reasonable. Continue with the operation. You may fire when ready. What? You're far too trusting. Tatooine is too remote to make an effective demonstration, but don't worry. We'll deal with your rebel friends soon enough. No. Commence primary ignition. A button is pressed, which switches on a panel of lights. A hooded Imperial officer reaches overhead and pulls a lever. Another lever is pulled. Vader reaches for still another level over the bank of lights on a panel, and a wall lights up. A huge beam of light emanates from within a cone-shaped area and converges into a single laser beam toward the planet Alderaan. The small green planet is blown into space dust. Ben watches Luke practice his lightsaber techniques with the small seeker robot, but Ben suddenly sits down. He falters, almost faints. Are you all right? What's wrong? I felt a great disturbance in the Force, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced. I fear something terrible has happened. You'd better get on with your exercises. Well, you can forget your trouble with those Imperial slugs. I told you I'd outrun them. Luke is once again practicing with the lightsaber. Don't everybody thank me at once. 3PO watches Chewbacca and R2, who are engrossed in a game of three-dimensional chess. Anyway, we should be at Alderaan at about 0200. Chewbacca and the 2 robots sit around the lighted table covered with small holographic monsters. Each side of the table has a small computer monitor embedded into it. Chewbacca seems very pleased with himself as he rests his lanky fur-covered arms across his head. Now be careful, R2. R2 immediately reaches up and taps the computer with his stubby claw hand, causing one of the holographic creatures to walk to the new square. A sudden frown crosses Chewbacca's face as he begins yelling, 3PO intercedes on behalf of his small companion and begins to argue with the huge Wookiee. He made a fair move. Screaming about it won't help you. Let him have it. It's not wise to upset a Wookiee. But, sir, nobody worries about upsetting a droid. That's because droids don't pull people's arms out of their sockets when they lose. Wookiees are known to do that. I see your point, sir. I suggest a new strategy, R2. Let the Wookiee win. Luke stands in the middle of the small hold area. He seems frozen in place. Humming lightsaber is held over his head. Ben watches from the corner, studying his movements. Han watches with a bit of smugness. Remember, a Jedi can feel the Force flowing through him. You mean he controls your actions? Partially, but it also obeys your commands. Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid. You don't believe in the Force, do you? Kid, I've flown from one side of this galaxy to the other. I've seen a lot of strange stuff, but I've never seen anything to make me believe there's some all-powerful force controlling everything. There's no mystical force field that controls my destiny. Ben smiles quietly. It's all a lot of simple tricks and nonsense. I suggest you try it again, Luke. He places a large helmet on Luke's head, which covers his eyes. This time, let go of your conscious self and act on instinct. With the blast shield down, I can't even see. How am I supposed to fight? Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them. Stretch out with your feelings. Luke stands in place, seemingly frozen. The seeker droid makes a dive at Luke, and incredibly, he manages to deflect the bolt. The ball ceases firing and moves back to its original position. You see? You can do it. I call it luck. In my experience, there's no such thing as luck. Look, good against remotes is one thing. Good against the living, that's something else. He notices a small flashing light on the far side of the control panel. Looks like we're coming up on Alderaan. He and Chewbacca head back to the cockpit. I did feel something back there. I could almost see the remote. That's good. You've taken your first step into a larger world. Inside the Death Star conference room, an Imperial officer stands before Governor Tarkin and Lord Vader. Yes, our scout ships have reached Tatooine. They found the remains of a rebel base, but they estimate that it's been deserted for some time. They are now conducting an extensive search of the surrounding systems. She lied. She lied to us. I told you she would never consciously betray the rebellion. Terminate her immediately. In hyperspace, the pirate ship is coming out. A strange, surreal light show surrounds the ship. Stand by, Chewie. Here we go. Cut the sublight engines. Han pulls back on a control lever. Outside the cockpit window begins streaking past, seeming to decrease in speed, then stops. Suddenly, the starship begins to shudder and violently shake about. Asteroids begin to race toward them, battering sides of the ship. What the? We've come out of hyperspace into a meteor shower, some kind of asteroid collision. It's not on any of the charts. What's going on? Our position's correct, except no Alderaan. What do you mean? Where is it? That's what I'm trying to tell you, kid. It ain't there. It's been totally blown away. What? How? Destroyed by the Empire. The entire Starfleet couldn't destroy the whole planet. It'd take 1,000 ships with more firepower than There's another ship coming in. Maybe they know what happened. It's an Imperial fighter. It followed us. No, it's a short-range fighter. There aren't any bases around here. Where did it come from? It sure is leaving in a big hurry. If they identify us, we're in big trouble. Not if I can help it, Chewie. Jam its transmissions. It'd be as well to let it go. It's too far out of range. It'd be as well to just let it go. It's too far out of range. Not for long. Fighter that size couldn't get this deep into space on its own. They must have gotten lost, part of a convoy or something. Well, he ain't gonna be around long enough to tell anyone about us. Look at him, he's heading for that small moon. I think I can get to him before he gets there. He's almost in range. That small moon opens to take on the appearance of a monstrous spherical battle station.
That's no moon. It's a space station. It's too big to be a space station.
I have a very bad feeling about this.
Turn the ship around. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Chewie, full reverse. Chewie, full reverse. Lock in the auxiliary power. Why are we still moving toward it? We're caught in a tractor beam. It's pulling us in. There's got to be something you could do. There's nothing I can do about it, kid. I'm in full power. I got to shut down, but they're not going to get me without a fight. Ben Kenobi puts a hand on his shoulder.
You can't win, but they're all alternative. You can't win, but they're all alternatives to fighting.
As the battered starship is towed closer to the awesome metal moon, the immense size of the battle station becomes staggering. The helpless Millennium Falcon is pulled past the docking port control room and huge laser turret cannons. Clear Bay 23-7. We are opening the magnetic field. The pirate ship is pulled in. The pirate ship is pulled in through the door of the Death Star, coming to rest in the hangar. 30 stormtroopers stand at attention. 30 stormtroopers stand at attention in a central assembly area. To your stations. Come with me. Close all outboard shields. Close all outboard shields. In the Death Star conference room, Tarkin pushes a button and responds to an intercom buzz. Yes, we've captured a freighter entering the remains of the Alderaan system. Its markings match those of a ship that blasted its way out of Mos Eisley. They must be trying to return the stolen plans to the princess. She may yet be of some use to us. Vader and the commander approach the troops as an officer, and several heavily armed troops exit the spacecraft. Unlock 157-9. Release charges. The officer, to Lord Vader. There's no one on board, sir. According to the log, the crew abandoned ship right after takeoff. Must be a decoy, sir. Several of the escape pods have been jettisoned. Did you find any droids? No, sir. If there were any on board, they must have also been jettisoned. Send a scanning crew aboard. I want every part of this ship checked. Yes, sir. I sense something. A presence I've not felt since... Vader quickly turns and exits the hangar. Get me a scanning crew in here on the double. I want every part of this ship checked. A trooper runs through the hallway heading for the exit in the Millennium Falcon. In a few moments, it's all quiet. The muffled sounds of a distant officer giving orders finally fade. Then 2 floor panels suddenly pop up, revealing Han Solo and Luke. Ben Kenobi sticks his head out of a third locker. Boy, it's lucky you had these compartments. Yeah, I use them for smuggling. Never thought I'd be smuggling myself. This is ridiculous. Even if I could take off, I could never get past the tractor beam. Leave that to me. Damn fool, I knew you'd say something like that. Who's more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him? Han shakes his head, muttering to himself. Chewbacca agrees. In the Death Star main forward bay, 2 crewmen carry a heavy box onto the ship, past 2 stormtroopers guarding either side of the ramp. The ship's all yours. If the scanners pick up anything, report it immediately. All right, let's go. The crewmen enter the pirate ship, and a loud crashing sound is followed by a voice calling to the guard below. Hey down there! Can you give us a hand with this? The stormtroopers enter the ship, and a quick round of gunfire is heard. Inside the Death Star Command Center office, a very small command center office near the entrance to the pirate ship, a gantry officer looks out his window and notices the guards are missing. He speaks into the comlink. TK-421, why aren't you at your post? TK-421, do you copy? A stormtrooper comes down the ramp of the ship and waves to the gantry officer, pointing to his ear, indicating that his comlink isn't working. Take over, we got a bad transmitter. I'll see what I can do. As the officer approaches the door, it slides open, revealing the towering Chewbacca. The gantry officer, in a momentary state of shock, stumbles backward. Ben and the robots enter the room, quickly followed by Luke, also dressed as a stormtrooper. Luke quickly removes his helmet. Between his howling and your blasting everything inside, it's a wonder the whole station doesn't know we're here. Bring him on. I prefer a fair fight to all this sneaking around. We found the computer outlet, sir. Plug in. He should be able to interpret the entire Imperial computer network. R2 punches his claw into the computer socket, and the vast Imperial brain network comes to life. He says he's found the main control room He says he's found the main control to the power beam that's holding the ship here. He'll try to make the precise location appear on the monitor. The reactor beam is coupled to the main reactor in 7 locations. A power loss at one of those terminals will allow a ship to leave. I don't think you boys can help me. I must go alone. Whatever you say. I've got more than I bargained for on this trip already. I want to go with you. Be patient, Luke. Stay and watch over the droids. But they must be delivered safely, or other star systems will suffer the same fate as Alderaan. Your destiny lies along a different path from mine. The Force will be with you. The Force will be with you. Your destiny lies along a different path than mine. The Force will be with you. Always. Ben adjusts the lightsaber on his belt and silently steps out of the command office. Chewbacca barks a comment. Han shakes his head in agreement. Boy, you said it, Chewie. Where did you dig up that... Boy, you said it, Chewie. Where did you dig up that old fossil? Ben is a great man. Yeah, great at getting us into trouble. I didn't hear you give any ideas. Well, anything's better than just sitting here waiting for them to pick us up. Who do you think? Suddenly, R2 begins to whistle on a beep and a blue streak. Luke goes over to him. What is it? I'm afraid I'm not quite sure, sir. He says, I've found her, and he keeps repeating, she's here. Well, who? Who has he found? R2 whistles a frantic reply. Princess Leia. The princess, she's here? Princess? Where? Where is she? What's going on? What princess? Level 5, detention block AA-23. I'm afraid she's scheduled to be terminated. Oh no. We've got to do something. What are you talking about? The droids belong to her. She's the one in the message. We got to help her. That'll probably be good enough. Now look, don't get any funny ideas. The old man wants us to wait right here, but he didn't know she was here. Look, will you just find a back way into that detention block? I'm not going anywhere. They're gonna execute her. Look, a few minutes ago you said you didn't want to just sit here and wait to be captured. Now all you want to do is stay? Marching into the detention area is not what I had in mind. But they're gonna kill her. Better her than me. She's rich. Rich, powerful. Listen, if you were to rescue her, the reward would be... What? Well, more wealth than you can imagine. I don't know, I can imagine quite a bit. You'll get it. I'd better. You will. All right, kid. You better be right about this. He looks at Chewie, who grunts with a little short grunt. All right. What's your plan? 3PO, hand me those binders there, will you? He moves toward Chewbacca with electric cuffs. Okay, now I'm going to put these on you. Chewbacca lets out a hideous growl. Okay, Han, you put those on him. He sheepishly hands the binders to Han. Don't worry, Chewie, I think I know what he has in mind. Master Luke, pardon me for asking, but what should R2 and I do if we're discovered here? Lock the door and hope they don't have blasters. That isn't very reassuring. Luke and Han put on their armored stormtrooper helmets and start off into the giant Imperial Death Star. They try to look inconspicuous in their armor as they wait for a vacuum elevator to arrive. Troops, bureaucrats, robots bustle around, ignoring the trio completely. Only a few give the giant Wookiee a curious glance. Finally, a small elevator arrives and the trio enters. I can't see a thing in this helmet. Meanwhile, in the elevator of the Death Star's detention area, Luke and Han step forward to exit the elevator, but the door slides open behind them. This isn't going to work. Why didn't you say so before? I did say so before. In the detention area, after the elevator doors open, a tall, grim-looking officer approaches the trio. Where are you taking this thing? Chewie growls at the remark, but Han nudges him to shut up. Prisoner transfer from cell block 1138. I wasn't notified. I'll have to clear it. Suddenly, Chewbacca throws up his hands and lets out one of his earpiece. Suddenly, Chewbacca throws up his hands and lets out one of his ear-piercing howls. He grabs Han's laser rifle. Look out, he's loose! He'll pull us all apart! Go get him! The startled guards are momentarily dumbfounded. Luke and Han have already pulled out their blaster pistols and are blasting away at the terrifying Wookiee. The barrage of laser fire misses Chewbacca but hits the camera eyes, laser gate controls, and the Imperial guards. We've got to find out which cell this princess of yours is in. Here it is, 2187. You go get her, I'll hold them off. Luke races down in one of the cell corridors. Han speaks into the buzzing comlink. Everything under control, situation normal. What happened? Had a slight weapons malfunction, but everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you? We're sending a squad up. Negative. We have a reactor leak here now. Give us a few minutes to lock it down. Large leak, very dangerous. Who is this? What's your operating number? Han blasts the comlink and explodes. Boring conversation anyway. Luke, we're gonna have company! Luke, we're gonna have company! Luke stops in front of one of the cells and blasts the door away with his laser pistol. When the smoke clears, Luke sees the dazzling young Princess Senator. She'd been sleeping and is now looking at him with an uncomprehending look on her face. Luke is stunned by her incredible beauty and stands staring at her with his mouth hanging open. Leia, aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper? Luke takes off his helmet. What? Oh, the uniform. I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you. You're who? I'm here to rescue you. I've got your R2 unit. I'm here with Ben Kenobi. Ben Kenobi, where? Come on. Inside the Death Star conference room, Vader paces as Governor Tarkin sits at the far end of the conference table. He is here. Obi-Wan Kenobi. What makes you think so? A tremor in the Force. The last time I felt it was in the presence of my old master. Surely he must be dead by now. Don't underestimate the Force. The Jedi are extinct. Their fire has gone out of the universe. You, my friend, are all that's left of their religion. There's a quiet buzz on the comlink. Yes? We have an emergency alert in detention block AA-23. The princess? Put all sections on alert. Obi-Wan is here. The Force is with him. If you're right, he must not be allowed to escape. Escape is not his plan. I must face him alone. In the detention area, an ominous buzzing sound is heard on the other side of the elevator door. Chewie! Get behind me! Get behind me! A series of explosions knock a hole in the elevator door, which several Imperial troops begin to emerge. Han and Chewie fire their laser pistols through the smoke and flames. They turn and run down the hallway, meeting up with Luke and Leia rushing toward them. Can't get out that way. Looks like you managed to cut off our only escape route. Han, maybe you'd like it back in your cell, Your Highness. Luke takes a small comlink transmitter out of his belt as they continue to exchange fire with stormtroopers, making their way down the corridor. C-3PO! Yes, sir. We've been cut off. Are there any other ways out of the cell bay? What was that? I didn't copy. I said all systems have been alerted to your presence, sir. The main entrance seems to be the only way in or out. All other information on your level is restricted. Someone begins banging on the door. Open up in there. Oh, no. There isn't any other way out. I can't hold him off forever, now what? This is some rescue. When you came in here, didn't you have a plan for getting out? He's the brains, sweetheart. What the hell are you doing? The princess grabs Luke's gun and fires at a small grate in the wall next to Han, almost frying him. Somebody has to save our skins. Into the garbage chute, flyboy. She jumps through the narrow opening as Han and Chewie look in amazement. Chewbacca sniffs the garbage chute and says something. Get in there, you big furry oaf. I don't care what you smell. Get in there. Don't worry about it. Han gives him a kick, and the Wookiee disappears into the tiny opening. Han and Luke continue firing as they work their way to the opening. Wonderful girl. Either I'm going to kill her or I'm beginning to like her. Get in there. Luke ducks laser fire as he jumps into the darkness. Han fires off a couple of quick blasts, creating a smoky cover, then slides into the chute and is gone. Han tumbles into a large room filled with garbage. Luke is already stumbling and looking around for an exit. He finds a small hatchway and struggles to open it. It won't budge. Oh, this garbage chute is a really wonderful idea. What an incredible smell you've discovered. Let's get out of here. Get away from there. No, wait! Han draws his laser pistol and fires at the hatch. The laser bolt ricochets widely around the small metal room. Everyone dives for cover in the garbage as the bolt explodes almost on top of them. Leia climbs out on top of the garbage with a rather grim look on her face. Will you forget it already? I tried it. It's magnetically sealed. Put that thing away. You're going to get us all killed. Absolutely, Your Worship. Look, I had everything under control until you let us down here. You know, it's not going to take them long to figure out what happened to us. It could be worse. A loud, horrible, unhuman moan works its way up from the murky depths. It's worse. There's something alive in here. That's your imagination. Something just moved past my leg. Look. Do you see that? What? Suddenly, Luke is yanked under the garbage. Han tries to grab Luke. Luke surfaces up with a gasp of air and thrashing limbs. A membrane tentacle is wrapped around his throat. Luke! Leia screams. She extends a long pipe toward him. Luke, grab hold of this! Blast it! I gotta get... Blast it, William! My gun's jammed! Where? Anywhere! Solo fires his gun downward. Luke is pulled back into the muck by the slimy tentacle. Luke! Suddenly, the walls of the garbage receptacle shudder and move in a couple of inches. Then everything is deathly quiet. Han and Leia give each other a worried look as Chewbacca hobbles on the corner. With a rush of bubbles and muck, Luke suddenly bobs up to the surface. Grab him! What happened? I don't know. It just let go of me and disappeared. I got a very bad feeling about this. Before anyone can say anything, the walls begin to tumble and rumble and edge toward the rebels. The walls are moving. Don't just stand there and try and brace it with something. They place poles and long metal beams between the closing walls, but they are simply snapped and bent, and the giant trash masher rumbles on. The situation doesn't look good. Wait a minute. Luke pulls out his comlink. C-3PO, C-3PO, where could he be? A soft buzzer and the muted voice of Luke calling out to C-3PO can be heard on 3PO's comlink, which is sitting on the deserted computer console. R2 and 3PO are nowhere in sight. Suddenly, there's a great explosion at the door of the control tower flying across the door. 4 armed stormtroopers enter the chamber. Take over. See to him. Pointing to a dead officer. Look there. A trooper pushes a button and the supply cabinet door slides open. 3PO and R2 are inside. R2 follows his brawn companion out of the office. They're madmen. They're heading for the prison level. If you hurry, you might catch them. Follow me. You stand guard. The troops hustle off. 3PO. Come on. The guard aimed a blaster at them. All this excitement has overrun the circuits in my counterpart here. If you don't mind, I'd like to take them down to maintenance. All right. The guard nods, and 3PO, with little R2 in row, hurries out the door. In the garbage room, Luke calls out, 3PO, C-3PO, come in! Get on top of it. I'm trying. Where could he be? C-3PO, 3PO, will you come in? They aren't here. Something must have happened to them. See if they've been captured. Little R2 carefully plugged his arm into the wall socket, and a complex array of electronic sounds spew from the tiny robot. Hurry! The walls are only a feet apart. Leia and Han are braced against the walls. The princess is frightened. They look at each other. Leia reaches out and takes Han's hand and holds it tightly. She's terrified as she groans as she feels the crushing pressure against her body. One thing's for sure, we're all going to be a lot thinner. Thank goodness they haven't found them. Where could they be? R2 frantically beeps something to C-3PO. Use the comlink. Oh my, I forgot. I turned it off. Meanwhile, Luke is lying on his side, trying to keep his head above the rising ooze. His comlink begins to buzz as he rips it off his belt. Are you there, sir? 3PO? We've had some problems. Will you shut up and listen to me? Shut down all the garbage mashers on the detention level, will you? Do you copy? Shut down all the garbage mashers on the detention level. Oh, shut them all down. Hurry. 3PO holds his head in agony as he hears the incredible screaming and hollering from Luke's comlink. Listen to them, R2, they're dying. Curse my metal body, I wasn't fast enough. It's all my fault, my poor master. 3PO, we're all right! The screaming and hollering is the sound of joyous relief. The walls have stopped moving. Han, Chewie, and Leia embrace in the background. We're all right, you did it! 2 hours, damn. He moves to the pressure-sensitive hatch, looking for a number. Hey, open the pressure maintenance hatch on unit number... Where are we? 326-3827. In the Death Star tractor beam power generator trench, Ben enters a humming service trench that powers a huge tractor beam. The sound of clacking, huge switches devices can be heard. The old Jedi edges his way along a narrow edge to a control panel that connects 2 large cables. He carefully makes several adjustments in the computer terminal, and several lights on the board go from red to blue. In the Death Star, in an unused hallway, the group exits the garbage room into a dusty, unused hallway. Han and Leia remove their trooper suits and strap on their blaster belts. Well, if we can just avoid any more female advice, we ought to be able to get out of here. Well, let's get moving. Where are you going? Han aims his pistol. No, wait, they'll hear! Han fires at the doorway. The noise of the blast echoes relentlessly through the empty passageway. Luke simply shakes his head in disgust. Come here, you big coward. Chewie, come here. Listen, I don't know who you are or where you came from, but from now on, you do as I tell you, okay? Han is stunned at the command of the petite young girl. Look, your worshipfulness, let's get one thing straight. I take orders from just one person, me. It's a wonder you're still alive. Looking at Chewbacca. Will somebody please get this walking carpet out of my way? No reward is worth this. Suddenly, a door behind Ben slides open and a detachment of stormtroopers marches to the power trench. Ben instantly slips into the shadows as an officer moves within a few feet of him. Secure this area until the alert is canceled. Give me the regular reports. You know what's going on? Maybe it's another drill. Ben moves around the tractor beam, watching the stormtroopers as they turn their backs to him. Ben gestures with his hand toward them as the troops think they hear something in the other hallway. With the help of the Force, Ben deftly slips past the troopers and into the main hallway. What was that? Oh, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. Luke, Han, and Chewbacca and Leia run down an empty hallway and stop before a bay window overlooking the ship. Troopers are milling around. Luke takes out his pocket comlink. There she is. C-3PO, do you copy? For the moment. We're in the hangar across from the ship. We're right above you. Stand by. Han's watching a dozen or so troops moving in. You came in that thing? You're braver than I thought. Nice. Come on. Han gives Leia a dirty look, and they start making their way down the hallway. They run down into 20 Imperial stormtroopers heading toward them. Both groups are taken by surprise and stop in their tracks. It's them! Blast them! Before even thinking, Han draws his laser pistol and charges the troops, firing. His blast knocks one of the troopers into the air. Chewie follows his captain down the corridor, stepping over the fallen trooper on the floor. Get back to the ship! Where are you going? Come back! He certainly has courage. What good will it do if he gets himself killed? Come on. Luke is furious. He didn't have time to think about it for muted alarms to be going off. Luke and Leia start off toward the starship hangar. Han chases the stormtroopers down a long hallway. The troops begin to raise their laser guns. Soon all the troopers are moving into attack position in front of the lone star pirate. Han's determined look begins to fade as the troops advance. Solo jumps backwards as they fire at him. In the Death Star sub-hallway, Chewbacca runs down in a last-ditch attempt to save his bold captain. Suddenly, he hears the firing of laser guns and yelling. Around the corner, shoots Han, pirate extraordinaire, running for his life, followed by a host of furious stormtroopers. Chewbacca turns and starts running the other way as well. In the Death Star hallway, Luke fires his pistol wildly as he and Leia rush down a narrow hallway, chased by several stormtroopers. They quickly reach the end of the sub-hallway and race through the open hatchway. Luke and Leia race through the hatch on a narrow bridge that spans on a huge, deep shaft that seems to go to infinity. I think we took a wrong turn. There's no lock. Luke blasts the controls with his laser pistol. That ought to hold him for a while. Quick, we've got to get across. Find the control that extends the bridge. I think I just blasted it. He looks at the blasted bridge control while stormtroopers on the opposite door begin making ominous drilling and pounding sounds. They're coming through! Luke notices something on his stormtrooper belt. When laser fire hits the wall behind him, Luke aims his pistol at a stormtrooper perched on a higher overhang across the abyss from them. Luke hands his gun off to Leia. Here, hold this. Luke pulls a thin nylon cable from his trooper belt. It has a grappling hook on it. Suddenly, the hatch door begins to open, revealing the feet of more troops. Here they come! Leia hits one of the stormtroopers on the bridge above, and he falls into the abyss. Luke tosses the rope across the gorge and wraps itself around an amazing occupying of pipes. He tugs on the rope to make sure it's secure. Then he grabs the princess in his arms. Leia looks at Luke, then kisses him very tightly on the lips. Luke is very surprised. For luck. Inside the Death Star, a narrow passageway hides Ben Kenobi in the shadows. As several stormtroopers rush past him in the main hallway, he checks to make sure they're gone, then runs down the hallway in the opposite direction. Darth Vader appears at the far end of the hallway and starts after the old Jedi. In the main forward bay, 3PO looks around the troops milling about the pirate ship entry ramp. Where could they be? R2, plugged into the computer socket, turns his dome left, right, and beeping a response. Han and Chewbacca run down a long corridor with several troops hot on their trail. Close the blast doors! Open the blast doors! Open the blast doors! A hallway leading to the main forward bay, Ben hurries along one of the tunnels leading to the hangar where the pirate ship waits. Just before he reaches the hangar, Darth Vader steps into the view of the tunnel, not 10 feet away. Vader lights his saber. Ben also ignites his and steps slowly forward. I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. We meet again at last. The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. Only a master of evil, Darth. Your powers are weak, old man. You can't win, Darth. Ooh, I'm sweating. You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I should become more powerful than you could possibly imagine. Their lightsabers continue to meet in combat. Inside the Death Star, Han Solo and Chewbacca, their weapons in hand, lean back against the wall, surveying the forward bay, watching the Imperial stormtroopers make their rounds in the hangar. Didn't we just leave this party? Chewbacca growls as Luke and Princess Leia join him. What kept you? We ran into some old friends. Is the ship all right? Seems okay if we can get to it. Just hope the old man got the tractor beam out of commission. Vader and Ben Kenobi continue their powerful duel. Look! Luke, Leia, Han, and Chewie look up and see Ben and Vader emerging from the hallways on the far side of the docking bay. 3PO and R2-D2 are in the center of the Death Star's Imperial docking bay. Come on, R2, we're going. Solo, Chewie, and Leia tensely watch the duel. The troops rush toward the battling knights. Now's our chance, go! They start for the Millennium Falcon. Ben sees the troops charging towards him. He realizes that he's trapped. Vader takes advantage of Ben's momentary distraction and brings his mighty lightsaber down on the old man. Ben manages to deflect the blow and swiftly turns around. The old Jedi Knight looks over his shoulder at Luke, lifts his sword from Vader's, then watches his opponent with a serene look on his face. Vader brings his sword down, cutting old Ben in half. Ben's cloak falls to the floor in 2 parts, but Ben is not in it. Vader is puzzled at Ben's disappearance and pokes at the empty cloak. All the guards are distracted. As the guards are distracted, the adventurers and the robots reach the starship. Luke sees Ben cut in 2 and starts for him. Aghast, he yells out, "No!" The stormtroopers run toward Luke, and they begin firing at him. Come on! Come on, Luke! It's too late! Blast the door, kid! Luke fires his pistol at the command at the door panel, and it explodes. Run, Luke, run! Run, Luke, run! Luke looks around to see where the voice he just heard came from. He turns toward the ship, ducking Imperial gunfire from the troopers, and races into the Millennium Falcon. Han pulls back on the controls, and the ship begins to move. The dull thud of laser bolts can be heard bouncing off the ship as Chewie adjusts his controls. I hope that old man got the tractor beam out of commission, or this is going to be one short trip. Okay, hit it! Chewbacca growls in agreement. The Millennium Falcon powers away. The Millennium Falcon powers away from the Death Star. The Millennium Falcon powers away from the Death Star docking bay, makes a spectacular turn, and disappears into the vastness of space. Luke, saddened by the loss of Obi-Wan Kenobi, stares blankly in the central hold area of the Falcon as the robots look on. Leia puts a blanket around him protectively, and Luke turns and looks up at her. She sits down and looks beside him. Solo spots approaching enemy ships.
Coming up on their sentry ships. Hold them off. Angle the deflector shields while I charge up the main guns.
Luke looks downward sadly, shaking his head back and forth as the princess smiles, comforting at him. Just can't believe he's gone. R2 beeps a reply. There wasn't anything you could have done. Han rushes into the area where Luke is sitting with the princess.
Come on, buddy. We're not out of the woods yet.
Solo climbs into his attack position into the topside gun port. Luke gets up and moves toward the gun ports as Leia heads for the cockpit. Luke climbs down the ladder into the gun cockpit, setting into one of the 2 main laser cannons mounted in a large rotating turret on either side of the ship. Han adjusts his headset as he sits before the controls of the laser cannon, then speaks into the attached microphone.
You okay, kid? You in, kid? Okay, stay sharp.
Chewbacca and Princess Leia search the heavens for the attacking TIE fighters. The Wookiee pulls back the speed controls as the ship bounces slightly. Computer graphic readouts form on Solo's target screen as Han reaches for controls. Luke sits in readiness for the attack, his hand on the laser cannon's button. Chewbacca spots an enemy and barks. Leia, here they come! In the cockpit, in the point of view of space, the Imperial TIE fighters move forward toward the Millennium Falcon, one veering off to the left and to the right of the pirate ship. The stars whip past behind the Imperial pilot as he adjusts his maneuvering joystick. The TIE fighter races past the Falcon, firing laser beams as it passes. 3PO is seated in the hold area next to R2-D2. The pirate ship bounces and vibrates as the power goes in and out, and then the room comes back on. In the Millennium Falcon cockpit, a TIE fighter maneuvers in front of Han. In the Millennium Falcon gun port, a TIE fighter maneuvers in front of Han, who follows it and fires with laser cannons. Luke does likewise, and the fire streaks into view. The ship has suffered a minor hit, and it bounces slightly. 2 TIE fighters dive down toward the spaceship. Luke fires at an unseen fighter. They're coming in too fast! In space, 2 TIE fighters charge through the background. Laser bolts streak from all craft. The ship shudders as laser bolt hit very close to the Millennium Falcon cockpit. The Wookiee chatters something to Leia. Full shot of a TIE fighter as it moves from frame to frame, firing on this Millennium Falcon. The 2 TIE fighters fire a barrage of laser beams at the ship. The Millennium Falcon, in the main passageway, a violent laser bolt streaks through the side of the pirate ship. The ship lurches violently, throwing poor 3PO into a cabinet of small computer chips. Oh! In the Millennium Falcon gun ports, Leia watches the computer readouts as Chewbacca manipulates the ship's controls. We've lost the lateral controls. Don't worry, she'll hold together. Hear me, baby? Hold together. Luke swivels his gun mount, following the TIE fighter with his laser cannon. Solo aims his laser cannon at the enemy fighter. A TIE fighter streaks in front of the starship. Leia watches the TIE fly over. A TIE fighter heads right for the pirate ship, then zooms overhead. Luke follows the TIE fighter across his field of view, firing the laser beams from his cannon. A TIE fighter dives fast past the pirate ship. Luke fires at the TIE fighter at his port. At his port, Han follows a fighter in his sights, releasing a blast of fire. He connects and the fighter explodes into fiery dust. Han laughs viciously. 2 TIE fighters move toward and over the Millennium Falcon, unleashing a barrage of laser bolts at the ship. Another TIE fighter moves in on the spaceship and Luke, smiling, fires the laser cannon at it, scoring a spectacular hit. Got him! I got him! Great kid, don't get cocky. 2 more TIE fighters cross in front of the pirate ship. While Chewbacca manipulates the controls, Leia turns, looking over her shoulder out to the ports. There's still 2 more of them out there. A TIE fighter moves up the pirate ship, firing laser bolts at it. Luke and Han look into their respective projected target screens. An Imperial fighter crosses Solo's port, and Han swivels his chair, following it with blasts from his laser cannon. Another fighter crosses Luke's port as he reacts in a manner like a glow of the glow of his target lighting his face. The glow of his target screen lighting his face. TIE fighter zooms in. The TIE fighter zooms toward the pirate ship, firing destructive blasts at it. Luke fires a laser blast at the approaching enemy fighter, and it bursts into a spectacular explosion. The last of the attacking Imperial TIE fighters loom in, firing upon the Falcon. Solo swivels behind his laser cannons, his aim describing the arc of the TIE fighter. The fighter comes closer, firing at the pirate ship. But a well-aimed blast from Solo's laser cannon hits the attacker, which blows up in an atomic shower of burning fragments. That's it! We did it! We did it! 3PO lies on the floor, completely tangled in the smoking, sparkling wires. I wish I did. Help! I think I'm melting. This is all your fault. R2 turns his dome from side to side, beeping in response. Also, I don't know if you're coming home this morning, but tap me on the shoulder if you do. I have my headphones on, and I'm recording/editing. The victorious Millennium Falcon moves off majestically through space. Inside the Death Star, Darth Vader strides into the control room, where Tarkin is watching a huge view screen. They see his stars as before them. Are they away? They have just made the jump into hyperspace. You're sure the homing beacon is secured aboard their ship? I'm taking an awful risk, Vader. This had better work. Han, removing his gloves and smiling, is at the controls of the ship. Chewie moves into the aft section to check the damage. Leia seated with Han. Not a bad bit of rescuing myself, huh? You know, sometimes I even amaze myself. That doesn't sound too hard. They let us go. It's the only explanation for the ease of our escape. Easy? You call that easy? They're tracking us. Not this ship, sister. At least the information in R2 is still intact. What's so important? What's he carrying? The technical readouts of that battle station. I can only hope that when that data is analyzed, a weakness can be found. It's not over yet. It is for me, sister. Look, I ain't in this for your revolution, and I'm not in it for you, princess. I expect to be well paid. I'm in it for the money. You needn't worry about your reward. If money is all that you love, then that's what you will receive. Your friend is quite a mercenary. Wonder if he really cares about anyone. Or anything. I care. Luke, shaking his head, sits in the cockpit seat. So, what do you think of her? Trying not to, kid. Under his breath. Good. Still, she's got a lot of spirit. I don't know. What do you think? You think a princess and a guy like me? No. He says it faintly and he says it with finality and looks away. Han smiles and looks at Luke's jealousy. Inside the hangar deck on Yavin, the military speeder stops in a huge spaceship hangar, set up in the interior of a crumbling temple. Willard, the commander of the rebel forces, rushes up to the group and gives Leia a big hug. You're safe. When we heard about Alderaan, we'd feared the worst. We didn't know if you were lost with your father. We don't have time for sorrows now, Commander. The battle station has already tracked us here, surely. It's the only explanation for the ease of our escape. You must use the information in this R2 unit to plan the attack. It's our only hope. Inside the Death Star, Tarkin and Vader are interrupted in their discussion by the buzz on the comlink. Tarkin moves to answer the call. Yes? We're approaching the planet Yavin. The rebel base is on the moon on the far side. We're preparing to orbit the planet. A lone guard stands in a tower high above the Yavin landscape, surveying the countryside. In the war room, General Dodana stands before a large electronic wall display.
The battle station is heavily shielded and carries a firepower greater than half the Starfleet. Its defenses are designed around a direct large-scale... Its defenses are designed around a large-scale... Its defenses are designed around a direct large-scale assault. A small one-man fighter should be able to penetrate the outer defense.
Pardon me for asking, sir, but what good are snub fighters going to be against that?
Well, the Empire doesn't consider a small one-man fighter to be any threat, or they'd have a tighter defense. An analysis of the plans provided by Princess Leia has demonstrated a weakness in the battle station. The approach will not be easy. You are required to maneuver straight down this trench and skim the surface to this point. The target area is only 2 meters wide. It's a small thermal exhaust port right below the main port. The shaft leads directly to the reactor system. A precise hit will start a chain reaction which should destroy the station. Only a precise hit will set up a chain reaction. The shaft is ray shielded, so you'll have to use proton torpedoes.
That's impossible, even for a computer. It's not impossible. I used a bullseye womp brass with my T-16 back home. They're not much bigger than 2 meters.
Then man your ships, and may the Force be with you.
The Death Star begins to move around the planet. The Death Star begins to move toward the tiny green planet. Tarkin and Vader watch the computer-projected screen with interest. Orbiting the planet at maximum velocity. The moon with the rebel base will be in range in 30 minutes. This will be a day long. This will be a day long remembered. It has seen the end of Kenobi and will soon see the end of the rebellion. Han is deliberately ignoring the activity back at the base of the fighter pilot's preparations. Luke's quite saddened at the sight of his friend's departure. So, you got your reward and you're just leaving then? That's right, yeah. Got some old debts I gotta pay off. Even if I didn't, you'd think I'd be fool enough to stick around here, would you? Why don't you come with us? You're pretty good in a fight. Could use you. Come on. Why don't you look around? You know what's about to happen, what they're up against. They could use a pilot like you, and you're turning your back on them. Good's a reward if you ain't around to use it. Besides, attacking that battle station ain't my idea of courage. It's more like suicide. All right, Han. All right, Han. All right, Han. Well, take care of yourself. All right. Well, take care of yourself, Han. Guess that's what you're best at, isn't it? I guess that's what you're best at, isn't it? Hey, Luke. May the Force be with you. Luke turns and sees Han wink at him. Luke lifts his hand in a small wave and goes off. Han turns to Chewie, who growls. What are you looking at? I know what I'm doing. Leia meets Luke under a huge space fighter. What's wrong? Oh, it's Han. I don't know. I really thought he'd change his mind. He's got to follow his own path. No one can choose it for him. I only wish Ben were here. As Luke heads for his ship, another pilot rushes up to him and grabs his arm. Luke! I don't believe it. How'd you get here? Are you going out with us? Biggs! Of course I'll be up there with you. Listen, I got some stories for you. Are you Luke Skywalker? Have you been checked out on the Incom T-65? Sir, Luke is the best push pilot in the Outer Rim territories. I met your father once when I was just a boy. He was a great pilot. You'll do all right. If you've got half your father's skill, you'll do better than all right. Thank you, sir. I'll try. Red Leader hurries to his own ship. I've got to get aboard, but listen, you tell me your stories when we come back, all right? I told you we'd make it someday, Biggs. Biggs, going off. You did all right. It's going to be like old times, Luke. We're just a couple of shooting stars that'll never be stopped. Luke laughs and shakes his head in agreement. He heads for his ship. This R2 unit of yours seems a bit beat up. Do you want a new one? Not on your life. That droid and I have been through a lot together. You okay, R2? Okay, here she goes. Hang on tight, R2. You've got to come back. You wouldn't want my life to get boring, would you? R2 whistles his reply. All final preparations are made for the approaching battle. A signalman holding red guiding lights directs the ship. Luke, a small trace of a smile gracing his lips, peers about through his goggles. Luke, the Force will be with you. Luke is confused and he taps at his headphones. Standby alert. Death Star approaching. Estimated time to firing range, 15 minutes. All wings report in. Red 10 standing by. Red 7 standing by. Red 3 standing by. Red 6 standing by. Red 9 standing by. Red 2 standing by. Red 11 standing by. Red 5 standing by. Lock-ass foils in attack position. We're passing through the magnetic field. Hold tight. Switch your deflectors on. Double front. Look at the size of that thing. Cut the chatter, Red 2. Accelerate to attack speed. This is it, boys. Red Leader, this is Gold Leader. I copy, Gold Leader. We're starting for the target shaft now. We're in position. I'm going to cut across the axis and try to draw their fire. Heavy fire, boss. 23 degrees. I see it. Stay low. This is Red 5. I'm going in. Luke, pull out! Are you all right? I got a little cooked, but I'm okay. We come 30 rebel ships, Lord Vader, but they're so small they're evading our turbo lasers. We'll have to destroy them ship to ship, get the crews to their fighters. Luke, let me know when you're going in. I'm on my way in now. Watch yourself, there's a lot of fire. Watch yourself, there's a lot of fire coming in from the right side of that deflection tower. I'm on it. Squad leaders, we've picked up a new group of signals. Enemy fighters coming your way. My scope's negative. I don't see anything. Keep up your visual scanning. With all this jamming, they'll be on top of you before your scope can pick them up. Biggs, you pick one up. Watch it. I can't see it. Where is he? He's on me tight. I can't shake him. Hang on, Biggs. I'm coming. Got him. Several fighters have broken off from the main group. Come with me. Several fighters have broken off from the main group. Come with me. Pull in, Luke. Pull in. Watch your back, Luke. Watch your back. Fighters above you. Coming in. I'm hit, but it's not bad. R2, see what you can do back there. Hang on back there. Red 6. Can you see Red 5? There's a heavy fire zone on this side. Red 5, where are you? I can't shake him. I'm on him, Luke. Hold on. Blasted Wedge, where are you? Thanks, Wedge. Good shooting, Wedge. Red Leader, this is Gold Leader. We're starting our attack run. I copy, Gold Leader. Move into position. Stay in attack formation. Stay in attack formation. The exhaust port is marked and locked in. How many guns you think, Gold 5? I'd say about 20 guns. Some on the surface, some on the towers. The Death Star will be in range in 5 minutes. Switch to targeting computer. Computer's locked, getting a signal. The guns, they've stopped. They're coming in. 3 marks at 210. I'll take them myself. I'll take them myself. Cover me. Yes, sir. I can't maneuver. Stay on target. We're too close. Stay on target. Loosen up. Gold 5 or Red Leader. Lost Tyree, lost Dutch. I copy, Gold 5. They came from behind. We've analyzed their attack, sir, and there is a danger. Should I have your ship standing by? Evacuate? Here a moment of triumph? I think you overestimate their chances. Rebel base, 3 minutes and closing. Red group, this is Red Leader. Rendezvous at Mark 6. Rendezvous at Mark 6.1. This is Red 2, flying toward you. Red 3, standing by. Red Leader, this is Base 1. Keep half your group out of range for the next run. Copy, Base 1. Luke, take Red 2 and 3. Hold up here and wait for my signal to start your run. This is it. We should be able to see it by now. Keep your eyes open for those fighters. There's too much interference. Red 5, can you see them from where you are? No sign of any... Wait, coming in at point 35. I see them. I'm in range. Target's coming up. Just hold them off for a few seconds. Close up formation. Close up formation. Almost there. You better let her loose. Almost there. I can't hold them. It's away. It's a hit. Negative. Negative. It didn't go in. Just impacted on the surface. Red Leader, we're right above you. Turn to point 05. Red Leader, we're right above you. Turn to point 05. We'll cover for you. Stay there. Stay there. I just lost my starborn engine. Get set up for your attack run. Rebel base, 1 minute in closing. Biggs, Wedge, let's close it up. We're going in full throttle. Right behind you, boss. Luke, at that speed, will you be able to pull out in time? It'll be like Beggar's Canyon back home. We'll stay far back enough to cover you. My scope shows the tower, but I can't see the exhaust port. Are you sure the computer can hit it? Watch yourself, increase speed, full throttle. What about the tower? You worry about the fighters, I'll worry about the tower. R2, that stabilizer's broken loose again. See if you can't lock it down. I'm hit. I can't stay with you. Get clear, Wedge. You can't do any more good back there. Sorry.
Let him go. Stay on the leader.
Hurry, Luke. They're coming in much faster this time. I can't hold them. R2, try and increase the power. Hurry up, Luke. Wait. Rebel base, 30 seconds and closing.
I'm on the leader. I'm on the leader.
Hang on. Hang on, R2. Use the Force, Luke. Use the Force, Luke. Use the Force, Luke. Let go, Luke. The Force is strong with this one. Luke, trust me. Luke, trust me. Luke, trust me. His computer's off. Luke, you switched off your targeting computer. What's wrong? Nothing. I'm all right. I've lost R2. The Death Star has cleared the planet. Rebel base in range. You may fire when ready. Commence primary ignition. I have you now. What? Look out! You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home. Great shot, kid. That was 1 in a million. Remember, the Force will be with you. Always. And I feel like that's a good place to end. Thank you for, this was something new that I've always wanted to do. If you enjoyed this, you want me to, I have the script for every single Star Wars movie, so I could do these for Empire, for Return of the Jedi. If you want more of this, I would be happy to do it. If you never want me to do this again, also happy to do that too. You are the viewer after all, and you know best. God, I've never actually read the script out loud, front to back before, and I just love Star Wars so much, and I hope you loved it as much as I did. And if you take anything away from this, it's that you should remember the Force will be with you, always, even in the shower, always.